Hey everybody, welcome back. Please be sure to subscribe, like the video, comment down below, let me know what you guys are thinking. This week, I'm going to talk to you about why I think you should be buying Geiger #1. Pretty much Geiger #1 is going to be a new Image comic releasing fairly soon, and it's written by Geoff Johns. He is known for doing tons of DC work. He's known for doing Superman, Green Lantern, Batman 3 Jokers. It's also drawn by Gary Frank, who's also done a lot of DC and Marvel work throughout his time. He's done Superman, Supergirl, The Incredible Hulk, and it's colored by Brad Anderson. And this team is actually the team that brought you Doomsday Clock just recently. And Doomsday Clock was very important because it brought the Watchmen into our DC universe and mixed Superman fighting Dr. Manhattan. It was very cool, and I'm very excited for this one. The synopsis of this blows my mind. I absolutely love it. It says, "Who are the scavengers of a dying Earth? Geiger is set in the years since a nuclear war ravaged the planet. Desperate outlaws battle for survival in a world of radioactive chaos. Our past, the poisoned wasteland, lives a man even the Nightcrawlers and Organ People fear. Some name him Joe Glow, others call him the Meltdown Man, but his name is Geiger." And this is a really fun take because Geiger is a term used to measure radioactive waves and things like that. So having a man named Geiger pretty much assumes that he is going to have some radioactive powers to him in kind of like a post-apocalyptic setting, which seems very interesting. And over the past week, Geoff Johns and Gary Frank actually did a interview for WonderCon online, and they talked more in depth about this book. But I just want to say some of the standout moments of this that really stood out to me. And in the interview, Geoff Johns states, "It's about a family man who loves nothing more than his family, and during this nuclear attack, he finds his family in a fallout shelter. He is altered, and he's left outside and becomes their protector. So for years, he's protecting his family from scavengers who want to get inside this fallout shelter until he can find a way to open it and be with his family again. It's influenced by some of our favorite films of the early sci-fi era, the 70s and 80s, like Mad Max. We called it Atomic Western." Sounds super cool. "It's really influenced by westerns, it takes place in Nevada, and it's really rooted in this one character, Geiger." Gary Frank goes on to talk about how their main inspiration in their western theme is the movie True Grit, and that's what they really based off of this in the early stages. Also, he states that the main character is kind of a horror character, a monster. I think it's very important, even though we're talking about westerns, to not kind of lean too hard into western themes, so we've gone in a different direction with that. But the idea behind the appearance of the character is there's an element of a monster to him, and there's humanity underneath, which you kind of see and we learn, but visually, he looks like a monster most of the time. And I love this aspect. Those are some of my favorite characters in comic books and movies and things like that, is an unlikable but very likable character. You're expecting to not like these characters. You're expecting to think he's this monster. You're expecting to think that, like, I'll never be able to enjoy this, like, character, but yet you fall so hard for them, thinking, like, wow, I really care. Just like Thanos in Infinity War, and Endgame, you know, you feel for the character. You start liking Thanos a lot more as the movie progresses. But in the beginning, you're like, how could I ever like this guy? He's a monster. He's a villain. Like, what is going to happen? And I find that so interesting. I'm so glad they're taking this route. And I like the theme of like a Western sci-fi as well. Blade Runner does it very well. And now I'm excited to see this like Mad Max form of this radioactive man. It seems super cool, and I'm very, very excited. Also, Gary Frank adds that when people read this first book, they'll wonder what kind of a book they're reading, because there are elements which don't necessarily seem like they should gel together. I think that's a very fun idea, and I think having the Western sci-fi theme really embraces that. So I'm excited to see how this plays out in the comic. So why do I personally think this comic is a big deal? Geoff Johns is known for doing his DC work, but he's not really dabbled too much into his independent creator-owned comics. He's written some independent comics, like he's written Black Hammer just recently, but that's Jeff Lemire's world. This is Gary Frank and Geoff Johns' world. So it's very different and very important that he made his own ideal world, his own characters, his own everything. Because Geoff Johns is a big TV movie guy. He's worked on tons of DC TV shows and movies, and he actually just created his own company, Mad Ghost Productions. And I can see this book easily getting picked up for a movie and TV deal. 100% can see this. I can see it on Netflix. I can see it on HBO, and I'm very excited to see if this gets picked up. Also, there is some fantastic variant covers for this #1 issue made from very famous people like Jason Fabok, who did Batman 3 Jokers with Geoff Johns, Eric Larson, who's known for doing Savage Avengers. There's even a really cool glow-in-the-dark Gary Frank cover, and I love glow-in-the-dark covers because they're so unique. You don't really see too many of them. And also, this comic just already sold out on the first distribution level. It's already on a second print, and it hasn't even released yet. That is a sign saying, look, we have faith in this comic. We know people are going to order more of this, so we are producing more for you. And that's because people are already seeing potential in this for being something bigger than it already is. And I'm very excited and looking forward to this. This comic actually drops this Wednesday, April 7th, 2021. I highly recommend going to your local comic shop and picking it up. And what more can I say? Let me know what you guys think about this comic and many others that you've actually read that I've recommended you. Have a great day.